Welcome to Connect to Joy. Your host, Carol DeChaine, is an intuitive spiritual guide for practical matters and Marconic multidimensional energy practitioner. Her quest is to help you realize new possibilities, discover and release what holds you back, and enable you to manifest an inspired life filled with joy. Join us on this journey of transformation. Now, here's your host, Carol DeChaine.
Welcome, beautiful spirits. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Carol DeChaine, and my passion in life is to help you find your joy, to release what holds you back, and assist you to quantum leap your journey of self-discovery. I'm an intuitive, certified in life and business coaching, and a Marconic multidimensional energy practitioner and teacher. So if you're ready to start creating that life you've only dreamed of, that you deserve, let's have some fun. And let's get started right now. Today, you're in for a treat because I'm doing one of my favorite topics, which is called Envisioneering. It's a two-part show. We're going to do the first part today, which talks about and explains what the Envisioneering process is. And I'm actually going to give you the process, that step-by-step that I give my clients, that we discuss and work through, as well as part two next week is going to be about releasing any fears and blocks that come up, including a guided visualization, when you start working with the process. Because whenever you start working in a deeper way, something always comes up. Sometimes it's big and it's scary, and sometimes it's just an old thing that you just need to work through. It's nothing major, but you're not complete with it. So we'll talk about that next week. But this week, we're actually going to talk about starting with what is Envisioneering. I thought I coined the word, but I don't think I did because I actually looked it up on Google and found it, but it has nothing to do with what I use it for. Envisioneering is about engineering your vision, using your imagination, the envisioning process, and believing you expand what's possible. And you actually make some of what seems impossible possible. Because things you don't think you can have, be, or do start shifting. And you start believing, it starts going to the other side of the process where you're going, I can't have it. Oh, maybe I can. Oh, I can have it. A lot of times, that's what happens in numerous different areas of your life. And before we get into actually the Envisioneering section, I want to talk about, so we're on the same page and have a definition for goals and plans versus visions and dreams. I want to make sure that you understand where I'm coming from and so that we're speaking kind of the same language. Goals are a one-off. They're a one goal that you have. Whether the goal is I'm getting up in the morning or I'm going to work on time, or whether it's becoming a doctor down the way and it has multi-part steps to get there, it's still a goal. It's one goal. But a goal, you know all the steps on how to get from here to there. You have a way to get there. You know what they are, and you can do it. That's a goal in my world. So therefore, in your world, at least today. A plan is a multi-part step that gets you from here to there. It may be the plan you have to get to your goal, which could be, if we're talking about being a doctor, it could be getting good grades, getting into medical school, all the steps you need, the money you need to get there. You know all those steps. You have a plan, and that's how you get to the goal you have at the end. But it could also be a plan is like a list you make. So maybe the plan is just, this is what I'm going to do for the day. I plan to get up on time. My alarm's set for 6 or whatever it's set for. You're going to go to work. Then you have a goal to stop at lunch, go to the bank. Although we don't need to do that too much anymore unless you just need cash out. But it's all these different steps you make, going grocery shopping. That's a plan for the day, right? You leave one out, doesn't matter. But if you leave an important one out in a plan when you're going to a goal, the goal could not happen. It's a possibility that it wouldn't happen. But it's still, a plan is a step-by-step process you're taking for whatever. A goal is a one thing. Those are not things that I'm going to be talking about in the Envisioneering process. We're going to be talking about visions and dreams. And here's the difference. A vision is something you think you could probably have, but you're not quite sure. You think you can have it, but you don't know all the steps or how to make that plan. You probably know a number of steps. Maybe all but one. But more likely, you know, steps 5, 6, and 7, maybe 10 and 12, but you don't know how to start, or there's a big gap in the middle. Especially like if you want to be, going back to the doctor thing again, if you wanted, maybe the money is the big gap. Or maybe getting good grades is the big gap. Whatever it may be, you don't know how you're going to get it quite yet because whatever you've tried isn't working. Or maybe you haven't tried at all because the vision, you just don't know how to do those steps. You don't even take those steps out of there. You don't try to get it because you know it may be possible, but you're not sure because you don't know how. Dreaming is a step beyond that. Dreaming in my world has to do with, I don't know anything about how to get from here to there. It doesn't seem possible. It's that dream is a wish your heart makes, a dream is a wish your heart makes. Good old Walt Disney, right? You don't know how you would ever make this happen. It's a pipe dream or a daydream or just a dream you wish when you're sleeping. You don't know. And you probably don't even think you can have it. So therefore, it's a dream. It's not really going to happen. So envisioneering can be used on both visions and dreams. Now, a perfect vision doesn't really exist. It's like a limitless life. They both seem impossible to achieve. But we don't need to look at things that way. The has to be perfect, has to be absolutely everything that I could possibly do in this lifetime. You don't need to do that. But if you can stretch just a bit more from where you are now, imagination can make the impossible seem more possible. It can make some of the things that you don't think you can have seem better. But you need to let go of what holds you back to expand, though, and make it more possible. Some of that we'll be talking about in the next show. Now, this gap, though, that shows up between where you are and where you want to be, that's really obvious. That could be a giant chasm of Grand Canyon to you. That's something that I've had a number of different teachers talk about. The latest one, I think, was Mary Morrissey, where she talks about this gap and the vibrational difference. And it's so true, because when you look at where you are and where you want to be, it looks like it's really far away sometimes. But there are different ways to make it happen. If you stop worrying about things, you let it go of the fears, you let go of some of those things that hold you down and hold you back, you're going to start raising this vibration that you have. You're going to start getting lighter and feel better about it. And if you concentrate on the positive, the possibilities of where you want to be, if you know where you want to be and you have this vision for yourself, then you can start believing that this is possible, right? And some of those negativities will start falling away and you'll start moving into more likelihood of having whatever it is you want. You might feel, and more than likely, like most of us, you feel the stuff comes up. Old stuff, limiting beliefs, fears. It's normal. You don't need to freak out or worry about it. Just go, oh yeah, they're there. And then you find ways to deal with it. You find ways of working with people, doing the guided visualizations that I do, dealing with intuitive readings, doing to therapists, talking to friends, or just shifting your own habits on your own. Whatever you do, you start adjusting. But awareness is key. And I'll say that over and over again. Being aware is huge. Because if you don't know what you don't know, you can't do anything about it, right? So there you are with this thing you want, this vision that you have for yourself. And let me say, you may not have a vision for yourself. You may not have a dream. That's okay, because sometimes we don't. I always used to say when I was growing up, I don't have any goals. But what I really meant was I had dreams, but I didn't have any visions for myself. I didn't have any long-term goals because I didn't know what I wanted. But if you work through this process of envisioneering, it's so much fun because your mind, you can just let your imagination go. You can do everything that you want. You can find so much more of what you want if you allow yourself to start moving along in the process. There are some things that you probably never have because that's just the way that life is. Because if you want to be an NBA player when you're 80, it may not happen. If you want to be a jockey and you're 400 pounds, it may not be good for the horse's health. There are things that it's not quite going to work, but it doesn't mean you can't find a dream or a vision that's a little different, but that still makes you just as happy as where you were. This vibrational thing, the shift that you can make, is if you look at where you want to be, who would you be if you were there? Who would you be if you had what you wanted already? So going back to this doctor thing, if you look at that and you say, okay, I want to be a doctor, but I don't have all the steps. So I'm having this vision. I want to be this doctor. If you start really acting as if, not as if you're already a doctor, but what would you feel? I mean, don't start operating on anybody or anything. But how would you feel if you were? Would you feel accomplished? Would you feel on top of the world? If you can start acting that way, acting with those feelings that who you would be, would you feel like you were really just feeling amazing about who you were, that you'd accomplished things, that you had become more competent or something, however you would feel as that person, then go ahead and feel it. Adjust it. Realize that you can act as if by having that emotional part in there. Realize that you never are stuck where you are, that you can shift and grow and be and have so much more than you do now. You simply need to allow yourself to start working at it, to be aware of what you want. Some people have asked me if faith is involved with needing to get from here to there. And let me just say that faith is not necessary, but believing in yourself and believing that things can happen is kind of the same as faith, but faith usually think of it as believing in God. I would say that it is much better to believe than to not believe, only because then you have a building block. You start trusting things can happen. It's something that you can feel deep inside that you go, I get it. This is a possibility. When you're facing a wall or facing something that you're not sure you can have, or you don't think you could ever have, try this envisioneering process. The next thing we're going to be talking about are these fears and the different impossible things that might come up. And we're going to talk about that next week so we can talk about it in detail. And I'll also include this guided visualization so you can release some of these things that are holding you back from being able to expand your dream. As you start working this process, you're going to see that you can start seeing more of what you can have. You're going to bump into what you believe you can have and you can't have. And what I mean by that is it's almost like a ceiling. You're going to go, I can have this, I can have it, I can have it. No, can't go beyond there. And all of a sudden something will open up or expand and you'll go, oh, I can have a little bit more. Or I can have a little bit something more in a different direction I didn't plan. It's like the impossible seems to become possible. I'm not going to swear and promise that everything becomes possible for you and life is going to be perfect. But what happens is that, well, it's kind of like the Mad Hatter. He says, one of his more famous quotes from Alice in Wonderland is that sometimes I believed in as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Meaning that I don't know if they're ever going to be possible, but they seemed impossible, and now they're not. All of a sudden, things start happening, and you go, oh, wow, this is new. I can have this? Huh, I didn't know I could do that. As you release what's holding you back, new ideas will start coming, and things will start shifting as you work on these visions. They'll shift so you can make more room for it to happen. It's kind of like, and I always go back to my own story just so that you can understand the example, because my vision started expanding more and more. So I always knew a couple of shows ago, it was all about something better than this. And I felt that way during my divorce, that something more had to happen. And I started working with a life coach who was amazing and exactly what I needed at the time. And I want to give her full credit because Carol Whitaker is the person I worked with, and she has a book called How to Be Ridiculously Happy. Now, let me say, that book, the title alone made me smile and made me go, I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to be ridiculously happy? What a brilliant name for a book title, right? It makes you want to read it. And my girlfriend, who's my best friend and happened to know this lady, sent me the book for my birthday present, but she was like 6 months late. And the timing was impeccable. It was exactly when I needed it. So when I contacted Carol Whitaker, she was available for life coaching. And she did a lot of tapping at the time. And it started releasing. And it started making this story of mine and what I wanted. It started shifting and growing because I healed when I was working with her from the divorce, all the emotions that go. Even an easy divorce, there's no such thing. I don't care what anybody says. Even if there's not children involved, it's still not easy to go through those things. And there's still a time of healing. But I did, when I was talking to her, I started asking for more of a future. I wanted this vision to be clearer. I wanted this to happen. And the domino effect that started was ridiculous. I mean, talk about ridiculously happy. Things were silly. When you looked at them and you went, how did this happen? Because that's the sort of thing that goes on. When I started working with her, I found that my life became clearer. One step at a time, though. So if you see your vision unfolding and shifting and growing, don't be surprised. First, after I worked with her, I met up accidentally, coincidentally, which is no such thing, with someone on Facebook that I had barely met. Mentioned one thing to her and we became friends. She led me to somebody that I spoke with who was intuitive and who told me that I should try energy healing. And being an energy healer of 20 years, I went, because I was a Reiki master, I went, oh, yeah, I should probably do that. That would help me. So I found someone locally, worked with her, and she led me to talking the intuitive way, which is near us over here in California in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I went to them for a while and I took classes because I always wanted to be more intuitive. And there it led me to life coaching classes possibilities. Somebody said, oh, you should be a life coach, or something like a life coach was the way she put it. And then somebody else said almost the exact same words. And I went, okay. But one thing led to another, led to another. So it led to the intuitive training. Life coaching classes came up. Money showed up that I didn't expect. So when you have a vision and you start putting it into place and you start writing out exactly what you want and getting clear on who you want to be and what you want in your life, you're going to find that this ball starts rolling. That domino effect takes place. Because not only did it lead to new type of energy work after working with the same one for 20 years, I also now have energy space clearing that I do for people's homes and offices. And Connect to Joy, my business, it continues to morph and expand as I grow and I listen. So you need to look at your life and see what it is that you want. First off, what is the vision that you have for yourself? And what dreams do you have? And ask yourself those questions before. Who do I need to be to attain this vision or dream? And who will I be when I've already become those things? Because if you can see the difference, you can see and be that person now. It's a huge wake-up call when you look at who you want to be and you realize you already are that person to a certain extent. You might have covered it over with some of those fears and those worries and those blocks that you didn't realize. In order to expand your dream, even if you can't think of anything beyond where you are now, you don't need to beat yourself up. You don't need to worry. You don't need to be in that fear place of, oh my God, I got nothing. I don't know what I want. Because all it means is that your blocks are so large that you won't allow yourself to dream. Maybe you think you don't deserve it. Maybe you have other fears around it, which, as I said, we'll talk about next time. It's okay to have the invisible dream sort of thing. You don't know what it is, or only a dream and not a vision. You don't know what you really want because you don't know how to get there at all. So it's just a dream, if only. If you have anything that you can fill in the blank for with, if only this would happen or that would happen, then I could have that. Those if onlys get us every time. We get worried. We wonder. We don't know. What do we do now? How do we get from here to there? It's okay. Trust yourself and know that there is more for you, that there is a vision and there is a dream, and you don't need to worry about it because it will start getting clearer and clearer as we go through the process. Make sure that when you're looking, that you're aware whether it's a goal or a plan versus a vision or a dream. Don't work towards a goal with this envisioneering process because you already know how to get there. You don't need to expand on it that much. You can work on that. But whenever you work on a goal and you don't know, there's a difference, I think. Well, I know. When you want to get to a goal and you don't, it's like wanting to lose weight. You sign up for a gym, you do everything you're supposed to do, but you don't do the eating. You don't go to the gym. You don't go from here to there. There's more that needs to be done you haven't done, right? You need to not only do it, you need to think about it so that you make sure that you follow through. You may have a goal. You just may not do it. You may not take those steps you need to get there, but you know how. So if you need someone to help you with that, a life coach is great at that. We can help you find your goals, how to make them easier. Maybe you're making the steps too big to get from here to there. But when you go towards a vision that you can do to a certain extent on your own, and then when it becomes more and more possible, that's when you might want to start thinking about working with someone. You don't need to, but if you feel that you need to, start reaching out before you get to but I want to and I can, and you get all freaked out because you don't need to do that to yourself. Trust that you know what's best for you. You have the answers, but you may need a little help getting from here to there. And don't be afraid to reach out when that happens, because that's you telling you, hello, I need to ask. So remember that that's something you can do. To make what seems impossible possible, sometimes you need to ask and pay attention to what's coming in around you, because that's when you're going to start getting that exciting stuff happening. The stuff that you go, oh, that's how that happened. And then don't forget to breathe every time you start seeing and facing something that you're going, oh my God, what do I do now? Breathe, take the step back, be aware. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, how to do it, and then it's going to be really fun, because when you start doing this, you're going to find that it's almost permission to play. You're going to give yourself permission to do more and be more than you've had before. It's so much fun. I've been through it myself. I've made sure that it worked for me. And other people and my clients love it. They just feel like they give themselves permission to do more and take the time to really play around with their future and what they really want. So first, you want to take some time and handwrite or type, which is what I did, out what your vision is for the future. Look at your life as a whole and type it out. What do you want your life to feel like and to look like? Writing it down. I mean, it could take 10 sheets of paper, or it could take, at this point, 1 paragraph. Write it down. And then when you start writing down what you want, then write down each section of your life. What can you envision or even dream? Maybe it seems impossible. So write down everything that you want in your love life, in your career, in your family life, your financial life, your traveling. Envision every single thing that you want that seems like it's out of your comfort zone. It's something you don't know how you can have. So go for the dream, but you're envisioning it. You're seeing it happen as you're writing it down, going, wow, this would be great. Wow. This may take a number of times that you're actually going back to this typewritten thing, which is why it's almost better to type it out. So then you can cut and paste and move it around if you want to. It doesn't have to be like a story when you first started it out. Just get everything down on the screen or on the paper and see where you're at. See how you feel. Give yourself permission to have fun and find out exactly what you want. If only it could happen. Allow yourself, after you do this visioneering, after you type it out, write it out, and you go back and you keep looking at it and adding to it and seeing what else you want in your life. Start getting excited about it. Start being excited. What if this really had happened? What if you were able to make all this work for you? Look at this and go, wow, this is exciting. This is what I want my life to be. Even if it's something absolutely ridiculous and it could never happen, write it down if it's exactly what you want. And then the next step after you do that is to reword it so that it's happening right now in the present tense. Instead of saying, I have a house in the mountains, it's so many thousand square feet, I love it, blah, blah, blah. You say, my house is gorgeous. I love it every time I walk in. I'm overwhelmed that it's mine. It has this beautiful, you can get as detailed as you want. It has a beautiful open concept room, and you can talk about the furniture, you can talk about the kitchen, you can talk about whatever you want. It can be 20 pages long, like I said. Allow it to morph, to grow, to have a world of its own so that you can really see what you want. It can be clear to you, but make it in the present tense like it's already happening. It's already yours. Whatever it is that you want, it's yours right now. Get your emotions involved. You notice I said how beautiful this is, how I feel when I walk in. Write all that down. Maybe you're talking about, in another paragraph, you talk about the person you're with and how much you love them, how much they spoil you, or take you somewhere for your birthday, they surprise you. And now this doesn't necessarily mean this is your dream, but this would be my dream. So I'm going to put it out there that there's someone that loves you so much that they surprise you and they take you away for your birthday, or they, whatever it is that you want, that they leave you little love notes. And you're so thrilled every single time you see one because it means so much to you. And so you give back to them as well because you want them to know how much you care about them, about how your family is, about how your interactions with them, what it looks like, If you are estranged from someone in your life, if you want them back in your life, you can say, I'm so grateful that I now have this wonderful relationship with my fill in the blank, my mother, my father, because now we've healed all the old wounds and everything is so perfect and beautiful. And we're able to talk and able to communicate. Maybe you can think, well, it wasn't so easy, but you don't put that down on this vision. You say, this is where I am in my perfect vision, in my perfect world. This is what I want. This is where I want to be. And when you get all that down on paper and you rearrange it and you get it down, try and get it down to no more than a double-sided piece of paper, maybe with 0 margins. Get it in there. One side is great. I was able to get mine in like 1.5 pages, so I had mine in double-sided so I could carry it around. Repeat it every day. Repeat it at least once a day. You can do it twice if you want, but it should not take any more than 5 to 10 minutes. Tops. Even if you get carried away and have a fabulous time, you will find you need a pen when you start reading it, because if you printed it out from your printer, you're going to start adding to it. You're going to delete stuff. You're going to go, I didn't want that. But, this thing, I forgot. I want the spiritual life as well. I didn't write that down in here. I want whatever you want. That wasn't written originally down. So you're going to want to read it as though it's already happened. You're in the middle of it, and that's the way it should read. Like I said, present tense. You're going to want to get emotionally involved when you read it. Get excited. Feel good about what it is. And if there's any piece of that puzzle that doesn't feel good, cross it out, readjust it, change the wording, so that when you repeat it, you feel it. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night if you can, but it's okay, once a day at least. And listen after you do it and pay attention to the world at large, because things will start shifting little by little by little in one or more areas of your life. You may find only one area starts shifting, and that's just celebrate it and go, yay, something's happening. But be aware, because it may happen all at once. Something may fall in your lap you didn't expect. Or you may find that you get the next piece of the puzzle to lead you in the direction you want to go. So take the piece of puzzle and put it together and be happy that it fits in your puzzle, right? Sometimes you get a puzzle. I love jigsaw puzzles. Sometimes you get them and there's a piece missing. There's nothing worse than working for hours and having a piece missing at the end of a 1,000-piece puzzle, because you lost it the last time or someone gave it to you and they didn't have the piece. So when you're putting your puzzle together for your dream and your vision for your future, know that the puzzle pieces may come little by little. Some of them may not fit. They may come out of order. But as long as you know that whatever it is you need will come to you, you'll know and you'll start paying more and more attention. Now, the fun thing about this is that if you're a couple, you can do it together. You can create your dream and your vision together. You can write down whatever you want, and you can work at it together afterwards and read it together, or you can read it separately and have a double whammy, kind of extra energy coming from 2 directions at creating this dream and this vision. And if you have a family with kids, it's really, really fun to do it together as a family. What do we want, this family? Where do we want to go? Maybe one of the kids wants to do something specific with their lives. They want to be an attorney, or they want something that they want to put in the dream. They want a vacation in the dream. Sometimes you want a dream that is 5 years from now, or you want to do a vision that's just next year. But remember, it's not a goal that you already know how to do. It's something bigger than that. So you want to see, where do you want to be as your life progresses? Remember that as ideas come, things may shift. This vision may adjust. It may not be exactly as you think it should be. Be open to other possibilities. Because, again, let me just say, this show is not necessarily something I thought I wanted. But I'm thrilled that I have it, because it was not in my vision for my future in my Connect to Joy part of my vision. It had nothing to do with it. It never would have even occurred to me. But because I was open to more possibilities, I allowed it to be part of the vision. So as perhaps you weren't envisioning enough for yourself, and you'll have these other ideas come to you. You'll have these impossible things become possible, because you're going to go, I've just thought of that. I want to add that to this dream because this is really good. And then you read that one besides. I want to quote again a great philosopher, the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland, because everyone wants some magical solution for their problem, but everyone refuses to believe in magic. This isn't magic, but it is something that feels like it if you get in the flow. It feels like something different is happening, and it's so much fun to do. You allow yourself to just, what could it be if I could have anything I wanted? And go from there. Don't even put anything on there. Don't put any, if only this would happen, that would happen. Just believe that this is a fun process. Let me just do the process and have some fun. Don't even worry about any blocks coming up, any what ifs, and oh my God, how could this possibly happen? Don't worry about those. We'll cover those next week. Because this week, all I want you to do is to have the fun, to commit to yourself that you're willing to step out of that comfort zone just enough to write it down, to write down all those amazing things you want in your life. When you're going through this process, I want you to feel free to say anything you want because no one is going to see this unless you want them to. Just have fun. Really let yourself go. Enjoy yourself. And reach for the stars. Reach for the impossibility. Try and reach that unreachable star, that Man of La Mancha song about the impossible dream. Let it go. Just reach for it. When you're writing this out, you don't have to believe that any of it's possible. It doesn't have to be a vision where you know the steps to. It can be the dream, the impossible dream. It's whatever you really, really wish for deep in your heart could happen. And everybody has that, whether you're willing to accept it or not. But if you still have a big block around it, that's fine. It's okay. Because we'll work on that next week. We'll work on the blocks and the fears and those things that come up when you start working on your vision or your dreams. When you start imagining these things to be possible, you're going to have all those old things come up. Whether it's a fear that comes up like, oh my God, I can't do this, or whether it's just a thought of this isn't even possible, so you don't even think about it. All those things can be shifted and moved, and there's no worries at all. Nothing that you need to concern yourself with about maybe you're not normal, you don't have any imagination, all those things that come to mind when you go, but I don't have a dream, I don't have a goal, I don't know what to do. It's okay. It's something that you can find more and be more and have more. If you just even have the desire to do it, you can do it. And that's all it takes. You need to have a starting place. And that will set you up for moving forward. So allow yourself and thank yourself for being willing to do that, even if that's all you have in your toolbox is the desire to be there. Because you can have lots of tools. There are so many people out there talking about all the different ways that you can find what you want in your life. Start listening and start seeing, which one feels right to you. Who connects with you? Who talks to you? Who says it just that way that you need to hear it so that you go, oh my God, I knew that already, but I forgot. Or that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? Whatever it is, nothing's new under the sun, but it's something that may be new to you or maybe just a reminder for you so that you can move forward and create that vision, that dream for the future without worry about anyone talking about it, saying you can't do it, all those things that come up for us. So remember, when you start writing down everything, feel like nothing is off limits. You can write down anything that you really want to dream about and have in the future. Make sure you do it in the present tense, like it's happening right now. Include emotions and excitement when you read it. Make sure that you feel that you're grateful, that you're happy, that you're so enthusiastic and amazed and overjoyed. And whatever words you want to use, whatever feeling you want to give it when you read it. But really envision it happening when you read it. I don't know if I said that the last night. Use all your senses, especially feeling. When you're reading it, see it happening in front of your eyes. See it as a possibility. And do it every day. Do it once a day. Give yourself permission to have some fun. Allow it to happen. Maybe while you're on the treadmill and you're bored out of your mind, you can even listen to music. As long as you don't listen to words at the same time, as in another podcast or something or a radio show. Have music if you want to, but think about this thing. Even if you're not reading it, after you've read it a while, you can actually just see it happening. You can feel it happening. And you don't need to have to necessarily read it. But I find reading it keeps you on track. And also having a pen handy so you can shift it and adjust it as new ideas come and flow to you. You can write those down and then change it and reprint it if you want. Lord knows, I think my vision changed about 30 times. And so every time I would change it, I'd have all this writing all over my page, and then I'd have to go back and rewrite it, retype it in, move things around, cut and paste, and then reprint it. So I'd have something I could actually read instead of chicken scratch all over the page. So as you're going along, allow yourself to also include someone that you love with this. If you are part of a couple and you want to include that person, have them. Maybe it's a different visioning page than what you've got, but include them in the vision. Allow them, if they're interested and it's something that they're willing to do it with you. It becomes even more powerful if you get another person to do it, or if you have the whole family getting together to decide what you want to do, where you want to go, how you want this family life to be in the future, in the perfect world of where you want it to go. Remember that you have to allow yourself to shift and tweak the stream as things change, because you can always need to allow for something better for you. Something you thought was impossible that you didn't even think of might come to mind, might want to be added. So allow it to come to you and to shift and put in there too. Because sometimes those things are pretty amazing that you'd never thought of. And when they start becoming in your awareness, that's when you need to start writing them in. Add them to that dream. And then, as you start moving along, ask for confirmations that things are going in the direction you want. Ask for confirmations if you say, wow, I just got this really great idea. Is this right? Ask for confirmations. Something will happen. Somebody will say something. The confirmation will come. I can pretty much guarantee it. You're going to feel good or bad about whatever that decision is that you want to make, one way or the other. But people don't ask for confirmations. They just say, oh, should I or shouldn't I? And they worry and they do lists, and then they don't ask the universe and for their highest and best to come in and say, okay, is this the highest and best choice for me? Is this where I need to move? Because you're going to find that your life is going to be pretty cool. You're going to be amazed at some of the things that happen, the ideas that come, all sorts of things that would never even have occurred to you before. And when those blocks and fears comes up, and they will, know it's okay. Know that there's ways to work through them. There's lots of ways, not just the guided visualization that I'm going to do next week. There are so many ways you can move through them. There are intuitive readings I do. There's all sorts of stuff, as well as, of course, talking to ministers and therapists, and you name it, you got help, you can have it. You can also work through this on your own, just to be more aware as you work. Right now, specifically, because those things, when that happens, you really are more and more aware of where and what's happening to you. You see things unfolding, and you know that your life can shift and be this amazing difference, but you need to take those steps and have that fun playtime and envision your dream. Take the steps and see if it works for you. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If you love the show, make sure you rate, review, and share this podcast, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Connect with me on Facebook or by email with questions and comments, ideas for future episodes, or if you would like to be a guest, give me a shout out and I'll send you an application. Until next week, remember, you are already enough to have that joyful, limitless life that you desire.
Thank you for listening to Connect to Joy. If you love the show, make sure you rate, review, and share this podcast. And subscribe so you never miss an episode. Contact the host, Carol DeChaine, with questions and comments, ideas for future episodes, or if you would like to become a guest. And remember, transformation is a journey and not an end destination. So be kind to yourself, because you are already enough to have the joyful, limitless life that you desire.